your plate today. The number to do so is 452-3046. Again, that's our main landline here, 452-3046. You can also message into WhatsApp. That number is 724-0008. Save that number in your contacts. And wherever you are in the world, of course, you can message in or call in via WhatsApp. Again, that number is 724-0008. Some birthday greetings for today going out to Miss Isa Cyril. Happy birthday to you, and wishing you an absolutely fantastic day. Also to Mr. Gregory Louis, happy birthday to you, sir. Hope you're having a great one indeed. A bit of history. In the year 1917, on this day, the first United States troops arrived in France during World War I. 1945, on this day, saw the United Nations Charter signed by 50 nations in San Francisco. And in 2016, on this day, the Panama Canal's third set of locks opened for commercial traffic, doubling the canal's capacity at an estimated cost of $5.25 billion US. We now move on to our dish of the day, where we take in some expected predictions and highlights of the last few days, the climax of the T20 Cricket World Cup happening right here in the West Indies. The Daily Dish is brought with the kind compliments of our good friends at Tiles Plus.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+, need all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also black, that's why and vanity. Boss, you'll see. Come down, don't mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Lance Road in Castries, Bosses Jugos Village, and Slack Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7936. Tiles Plus.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to our program here for today, this Wednesday on Radio Caribbean International. And for our dish of the day, we do want to get a little sense of where things stand with respect to the ICC Men's T20 World Cup, and who else better to have that conversation with than none other than Dr. Joseph Reds Pereira. Reds, are you with us? Hello? Looks like we're not hearing him. I'm not too sure what the issue is there, but of course we will try to get him back on air as quickly as possible. Of course, in the Caribbean, we've been taking in the T20 Cricket World Cup, and it is about to head into the semi-final stage. That first semi-final match is happening come tonight, and that is South Africa. And of course, a very seasoned cricket team, cricketing nation, and they are going up against an unlikely participant in a semi-final, but here they are, and they are Afghanistan. Afghanistan will be competing against South Africa at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy tonight from 8:30 in the south of Trinidad. And of course, it'll be a very interesting situation, because if in fact they would be able to make it to the finals, what an astounding achievement for a team that was effectively one would have considered perhaps second rate in the great scheme of things around the world, a non-traditional team, country, which has been playing some level of cricket over the years, but certainly has been facing so much difficulty with in terms of warfare, in terms of various types of strife. And here they are playing at the semi-finals of the World Cup for cricket. So an astounding story thus far, and congratulations to them. And so, of course, it'll be very, very interesting to see what is the outcome of that. Of course, the favorite team will be that of South Africa. There's no getting away from that. Lots of history there, lots of opportunity there to see another wonderful, wonderful match happening over in Trinidad. Now, we're still trying to get Reds on the line. I think I'm seeing the light blinking. I'm not too sure. Have we been able to get him back on air? Reds, are you there with us?
Yes, I'm with us. I'm sorry, the line just dropped out. I don't know why.
Oh, not a
So I
problem.
said, let me go back to the old faithful landline.
Yes, yes, yes.
So I'm with you.
Wonderful, wonderful. And tonight, of course, you will be glued to your television, I take it, from 8:30. What is your take? What is your? I mean, Afghanistan in the semi-finals of the Cricket World Cup. Who would have
Well,
thought?
that's actually tomorrow. I might have misled you. The semifinals are tomorrow, one in Guyana and one in Trinidad.
Isn't there a
And then,
final
of course,
tonight?
the final in Barbados on the 29th. You don't have much time for rest these
No,
players.
no, no, I read. I think there is a final tonight. Yeah, there's on the 26th. Yes, there is going to be that South Africa versus Afghanistan match tonight at 8:30, and then tomorrow, I believe, the India England match is
Okay, well, I'll
happening.
tell you what, the Indians requested they be moved from Trinidad to play in Guyana
Guyana,
at that time
yes,
because
tomorrow.
it was better viewing
Ah, okay.
for their audience.
Mm.
And they are so all powerful that the ICC changed the original. The original was that they were to play in Trinidad. But back to your question, I would think that India and South Africa will have to start as favorites when the first ball is bowled. After that, it's anybody competing in a 2020 game.
Mm.
Anything can happen.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And but it's been a very interesting journey for them, though, the Afghanistan team. I mean, some significant upsets to get them to where they are right now.
Yes, and what was amazing is that there was a clip last night of the Afghans, no ladies, of course, Afghans celebrating in Kabul. They
Mm.
obviously were allowed to see the match. The men's team is not banned by the Afghan government, and if you see the thousands of people jumping up in the capital, so it was viewed by them, and they were penciled to be the dark horses. Well, the dark horses has come out of the darkness, and they're now in the semi-final. It's going to be tremendous right across the board. They'll be financially much richer.
Mm-hmm.
They'll probably get a lot more cricket being played
Mm-hmm.
because of being a semi-final. They probably will be invited to. I think I read they were going somewhere, but that's just out of my mind. I suppose that they'll have to decide what they're doing after the two semifinals. But my dollar, which is a very humble dollar, will be on India and South Africa initially. But England has got within them a team that also can be competitive. Competitive. So I think we're down to the semifinals, and we can expect that we may get some surprises. The conditions are going to favor the spinners of both sides, but I would think that you will still get the trusted and reliable quick men still being included.
Mm. And I mean, coming back to that whole matter of an Afghanistan coming in, this is I mean, I was just reading right now. The Afghanistan Cricket Board was formed in 1995. That was just a few years ago, really. And here they are. I mean, this is a very interesting journey and story for a lot of other countries that are up and coming in the world of cricket. I mean, normally it would have been maybe just about 10 or so countries or 11 or 12 participating, but it certainly has gotten a lot broader, and it places then cricket into a very interesting growth trajectory for the next couple of years to come.
Yes, well, about 5 or 6 years ago, the Afghans relocated in northern India, and they have grown in experience. Their players are playing in the various franchise cricket all over the world. They play as a team very often, and they have grown to be, quite a combination. They know each other. There's tremendous spirit, tremendous pride, and maybe it takes us back, to when we dominated the world. We were probably the smallest member of the ICC, and the spirit, under Sir Frank Worrell, the spirit under Clive Lloyd, Sir Clive Lloyd, Sir Vivian Richards was tremendous, and I think there's a linkage there to how the Afghans may be feeling.
Indeed, Reds, and I'm thinking as well though. But there've been some teams that have been around for a good while, and they've been in this have not been. I mean, you're talking about Bangladesh, for instance, or even Zimbabwe. I mean, they have not been able to get to this point. I think for the most part.
No, not at all. Zimbabwe was surprisingly beaten by Uganda, who qualified in that zone of teams competing. But as I got your call, there is a breaking story that I can share with your listeners if you have the time.
And I think that has something to do with selection, if you're referring to.
Yeah, well, it appears that strong rumor last night and this morning that Desmond Haynes will not be retained as the head selector. No statement of his tenure is after the World Cup. Now, after the World Cup could be after the last ball is bowled, but after the World Cup it could be the 30th of June. And I can confirm that there was a discussion at the Darrenasami whilst the West Indies game was going on between the president of the board, Dr. Shallow, and Desmond Haynes. It lasted, I'm told, about 20 minutes. And what they were discussing, I don't think they were discussing the actual state of the game in the middle. I think they were discussing whether he is to be released or whether he is to be retained. But the feeling is in Barbados, and I spoke to someone a half an hour ago, that the Haynes is to be replaced. Now there's another. The pot gets sweeter. We are told that Miles Bascom, the director, has recommended a format where in the future the captain and the coach will pick the squad. Whether that is going to turn out to be true, I don't know.
Now, right now, what obtains Reds? Is it?
Well, I think right now it's Desmond Haynes and Darrenasami, or Desmond Haynes and the Test coach Andre Soli. They might consult the captain.
Right.
I think that's the basic situation now. But to go back to what we're hearing has been suggested as the captain and the coach to pick the squad. England tried that. They had Silverwood and Joe Root, and that ended in a disaster. And I would think that will not be the best way to go. There's a good reason why selectors have, been operating as the heads that picks the various teams, because they, as selectors, they have to travel around and watch the matches, and maybe a captain and a coach is just too close to have a situation within the grouping and maybe not seeing it as a wider vision from outside. But that's only a rumor I heard this morning out of Barbados.
Okay, well, thanks for that. Of course, Reds, for keeping us posted. You're not going across to Barbados, I take it, taking the finals?
No, 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 no,
No.
no. I will watch it from the comfort of my home in Bonterre. I'll also watch Pereira and Company, which comes up tomorrow on Hot 7. And this 50th edition will have the president of the Athletic Association talking about what should be a pretty good 2 days of the national championships in Soufrière.
Mm. When
That
is
will
that?
be online. Sunil Ramdin, cricket commentator, well known, he would be looking with me at the two semi-finals
Wonderful.
and the possible final, and maybe a little on where did the West Indies go wrong, etc. Paula James of the Aquatics Federation will be also on Pereira and Company because there's a major meet coming up in August. It's called the Goodwill Games,
Mm.
where junior over 500 swimmers may be coming in.
Wow.
Over 500 swimmers will be coming in.
And they're probably not coming in alone, so they're even more than people than that, for sure.
Now
It's
they
a big
are
impact.
bringing supporters.
Right.
This is where I feel that the events company should be playing a role, should be maybe meeting with the executive of the swimming body and say, look, we don't have money to give you, but we have experience in carnival, in jazz.
Putting on big events. Yeah.
We can lend our expertise to help you, put on a nice show. And a nice show includes things like the medal ceremony, things like the opening ceremony,
Cultural
and
events and what have
a
you.
little bit of
Yeah.
a special type of presentation of St. Lucia. And I think the same thing goes for boxing because at the end of July, we will have maybe over 120 boxers coming to St. Lucia.
Mm.
And I think the events companies could help David Christopher and the small executive to really, do a real classical type of OECS invitational with some 11 countries expected to come.
Right.
But that's only my humble opinion. But I do hope that the events company will probably look at this and maybe could be encouraged by the Honorable Minister Hilaire, to reach out to the two associations and see how they can, in their own special way, with their experience, with their human capital, to help the two associations.
Well, it just goes to show the power of sport, and certainly sport is a big business in terms of tourism. We quite often are not looking sufficiently at that aspect of it. I mean, I know there was a lot of effort in the past, to create these events and to look at the various opportunities to do exactly what is you're saying that these events are actually achieving right now. So let's hope that it's well appreciated and we can plan for even more of them to come. Thanks very much, though, Reds.
Yes, Paula James, just before I go, she said last night on the recording of the show, which comes out on Thursday at 7:30, that 3 hotels have been booked since February.
Okay. Wow.
Totally booked, totally paid for.
Right.
I think there is a role for the events company to come in and see how they can help to produce a quality swimming championships and a quality boxing championships.
Definitely, because I mean,
thanks for your time.
Thanks very much for
calling.
sharing, of course, and that, of course, Dr. Joseph Reds Pereira sharing with us there his thoughts on the upcoming semi-final matches in the ICC Cricket T20, and of course, the final is going to be this weekend in Barbados at the Kensington Cricket Ground. And it'll be very interesting to see what happens from tonight, whether it'll be Afghanistan. Of course, none other than Dwayne Bravo is one of their coaches over there. No doubt he'll be backing them against South Africa to see who is going to be able to head into that final. That's all the time for our dish of the day. When we come back, we're going to take in our weather report.
This has been The Daily Dish.
One test for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need test for your balcony. Come down to test plus satisfaction guarantee. Test plus, test plus, test plus. Big test if unbeatable cost. Customer service, A plus. Need all kind of tests. Come down to test plus. We also crack the soy and vanity. Boss, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tests on island. Trust me. We are located Lance Road in Castries. Bossy Joe Grizzly Lakes and Slack Street in Viewfort. Telephone number 453-7939. Test plus.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home. Really? Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with these tile stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up. What are you looking for? Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle. Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Star Tile and Bath, they're my number one store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for. That sounds perfect. I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation. I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and Viewfort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And good afternoon. The latest weather news is as of 12 noon today, 26 June 2024. And the forecaster is McLean Baptist. The weather at Urinary Airport is fair with haze. Weather at GFL Charles Airport is cloudy and hazy. The temperature at Urinary Airport is 31 degrees Celsius or 88 degrees Fahrenheit. Last night's minimum temperature at Urinary Airport was 27 degrees Celsius or 81 degrees Fahrenheit. Relative humidity at Urinary Airport is 73%. Wind at Urinary Airport is blowing from the east at 22 miles per hour or 35 kilometers per hour. Rainfall in the 24-hour period that ended at 8 a.m. today at Urinary Airport, 0.3 millimeters. At GFL Charles Airport, 5.9 millimeters. Total rainfall for the month of June thus far at Urinary Airport, 88.8 millimeters. At GFL Charles Airport, 65 millimeters. Sunset today, 6:35 p.m. Sunrise tomorrow at 5:38 a.m. Forecast for St. Lucia Valley for the next 24 hours. Winds will be blowing from the east near 18 miles per hour or 30 kilometers per hour. Weather fair and hazy, becoming cloudy at times with a few showers. Marine forecast for seas in a 25-mile or 40-kilometer radius from St. Lucia. Tides for Castries Harbor, low at 1:15 p.m., high at 7:56 p.m. Tides for Viewfort Bay, low at 2:42 p.m., high at 9:03 p.m. Seas are slight to moderate with waves 3 to 6 feet or 0.9 to 1.8 meters. Forecast for the Les Antilles, fair and hazy, becoming cloudy at times with brief scattered showers, mainly over the northern portion of the region. And the tropical weather outlook, patches of low-level clouds drifting along a moderate easterly wind flow will cause some showery periods over the region during the next 24 hours. Tropical wave located over the central tropical Atlantic is moving westward near 9 miles per hour or 15 kilometers per hour. Another tropical wave located over the eastern tropical Atlantic has a low chance of development over the next 7 days as it moves westward near 21 miles per hour or 33 kilometers per hour. And that there is the latest weather forecast for today, 26th June 2024. I say thank you to our forecaster, Mateen Shabatis.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home. Really? Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with the tile stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up. What are you looking for? Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle. Okay, Miss Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Star Tile and Bath, they're my number one store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous tiles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for. That sounds perfect. I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation. I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and View Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. Will help bring your vision to life in living color.
And welcome back to our program here at the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. And of course, the number to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, it is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And you can also reach us via our WhatsApp number, that is 724-0008. You can also message in on our Facebook page. That's also available. If you want to comment, on the Facebook chat, or send in your questions as well. We're just talking about cricket, and just quite often, if we are in the rainy season, and matches are sometimes disrupted because of the weather, and quite often we hear about the Duckworth-Lewis method for determining scores and adjusting scores and what the target needs to be for teams based on those changing realities that a team may not get the general allotted number of overs. So, of course, in a 50-over match, it might vary. They would reduce the number of overs and the totals as well to get that done. And, of course, so people who follow cricket quite often know about the Duckworth-Lewis method. Quite likely, very few of us actually know how it operates and is calculated, because it is determined via some statistical methods. But Mr. Frank Duckworth, who was in the Duckworth in the method, in fact, recently passed. And just to share that story about Mr. Duckworth, he passed at the age of 84. Frank Duckworth, one half of the team who pioneered the Duckworth-Lewis method for calculating target scores in limited overs cricket matches abridged by bad weather, has died at the age of 84. Along with his fellow statistician, Tony Lewis, Duckworth devised the formula that was officially adopted by the International Cricket Council in 1999 and remains the means by which affected matches are decided to this day. The Royal Statistical Society, RSS, said in a statement, quote, "Fellows will be sad to learn that Frank Duckworth passed away on 21st June 2024 at the age of 84. Frank will be remembered largely for his contributions to the Society as editor of RSS News and to cricket as the co-inventor of the Duckworth-Lewis method. Duckworth originally qualified in metallurgy, but subsequently studied to become a statistician and introduced a short paper, quote, a fair result in foul weather at an RSS conference in Sheffield in 1992. The paper was directly inspired by the farcical ending to the 1992 World Cup semi final between England and South Africa in Australia, when a short spell of rain played havoc with calculations and left South Africa targeting an impossible 22 runs off one ball. Duckworth's lecture led to contact with Lewis, and the pair worked together on a formula which was used in the second match of England's one day series against Zimbabwe in 1999. The method was renamed the Duckworth Lewis Stern method following the retirement of Duckworth and Lewis after it was slightly modified by an Australian statistician, Stephen Stern. And of course, that story about Mr. Duckworth is quite interesting because here we are at the throes of another semi final. Of course, this time, of course, England, Australia, that coming up soon, and of course, South Africa playing up against Afghanistan, and they may very well end up playing in a final in Barbados over on the weekend, and so it'll be very interesting, of course, to see if in fact that Duckworth Lewis method would have to be used 32 years on. So, of course, I just wanted to share that thought on the contributions that have been made, and of course, the individual who was behind a bit of that. Now, over in Kenya, in East Africa, and that country has been facing, well, in fact, has been getting a lot of attention over the past couple of weeks and perhaps even months, one can say, on the global scale. Of course, one, in the case of the Caribbean, you would have noted that Kenya was the country which agreed to provide support, police force support in the island, in the state of Haiti, which of course was undergoing significant political instability and the impacts of gangs and criminality on the maintenance of law and order there. And it was the African country of Kenya that agreed, in fact, to send a force over to Haiti. That got stuck, and even legal battles and what have you. Quite recently as well, you may have heard that in Kenya's president, William Ruto, paid an official visit to the United States of America, and certainly was a long time since a Kenyan leader was able to do so. His government has been accused of being very much pro Western or pro United States. And right now, they are dealing with some significant disruption as a result of protest action on the streets of many Kenyan cities. In this instance, the protests are over tax increases. And just to share very quickly, story coming from the Nation News on that matter out of Barbados, but it's actually also a repost from the BBC. Police in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi, have shot dead at least 5 people during huge protests against planned tax increases, according to the Kenya Medical Association. A journalist from the Reuters news agency also reported counting the bodies of at least 5 protesters outside Parliament. Earlier, the crowds broke through police cordons and entered Parliament, setting part of the complex alight. Fire also broke out in Nairobi City Hall. About 40 people are being treated in hospital. Kenyans are protesting over a new finance bill that introduces unpopular tax proposals that have drawn a lot of anger across the nation. The controversial bill, which has provisions that are seen as imposing extra burdens on ordinary citizens and businesses, has sparked a huge outcry from a public already weighed down by the high cost of living. It has triggered youth led protests, which, though largely peaceful, have led to at least one death and hundreds of injuries, as well as arrests, all of which have been condemned by lawyers and human rights groups. The government has dropped some of the contentious proposals, but it has done little to assuage public anger. Many now want the entire bill scrapped. On social media, there have been calls for protests and demands that lawmakers oppose the tax increases. Amendments to the bill look set to be approved, but some of the controversial provisions initially put forward included a plan to introduce a 16% sales tax on bread and 25% duty on cooking oil. There was also a planned increase in the tax on financial transactions, as well as a new annual tax on vehicle ownership amounting to 2.5% of the value of the vehicle. The government said it was dropping these measures amid a public outcry. The eco levy, described as a charge on products that contribute to e waste and harm the environment, was another key provision of the bill that the government has now suggested amendments to. Critics pointed out that it would lead to the increase in the cost of essential items such as sanitary pads, which has been seen as insensitive, as there are many girls who, unable to afford these products, often miss school during their periods. Babies' nappies would also be affected. Following an outcry, the government said the levy would apply only on imported products, arguing that this would boost growth of local industries. The other key target of this eco levy is digital products, including mobile phones, cameras, and recording equipment, as well as TV and radio equipment. A rise in the cost of these products is seen as harmful to the growth of the digital economy, which many Kenyans rely on for their livelihoods. So that story coming originally from the BBC via the Barbados Nation news about that ongoing situation of protests in Kenya. Kenya, as you would know, is one of the 55 African countries, and they have a population of close to 50 million people, about 47 million. It's actually the 28th most populous country in the world and the seventh most populous country in Africa. And you heard mention there of Nairobi, the capital of Kenya, but certainly other significant cities include places like Mombasa, which is a major port on the Indian Ocean. And so, of course, they also play cricket like us, and I think you would have heard some mention of them in that regard. And they, of course, are seen as one of the leading countries in Africa, certainly in terms of the size of the economy, somewhere about 113 billion US dollars in terms of GDP. Of course, it's also a place of remarkable beauty, as well as very old in terms of the archaeological finds that have occurred in Kenya. And of course, we would have heard many times that Africa is the birthplace of modern humans, and of course, the whole "out of Africa" theory. A lot of the excavation, the archaeological finds of hominids around places like Lake Turkana actually took place in Kenya, and so certainly a very interesting nation from that perspective as well. And so we'll have to see how the entire matter continues to pan out, of course, in that East African country, which, of course, is spreading itself to the extent that it actually, right here in the Caribbean, the that force going into Haiti, coming out of Kenya. Of course, quite recently, just a couple days ago, you would have noted that there was that 31st annual meeting of the Afri Exim Bank. That is an abbreviation for the Africa Export Import Bank. Export import banks exist all around the world. They tend to be financial entities that support trade and investment. And so many countries around the world will have export import banks. China has one, Taiwan has one. I think the US has something to that effect. And so they effectively provide financing for entities, companies who may want to trade externally to do business. And of course, the Afri Export Import Bank has been one of the institutions that has actually been doing a fair bit of the stewarding and handholding in terms of Africa Caribbean relations, to the point where they have, in fact, established here in the Caribbean, in Barbados, an office and presence right here to improve that relationship. I believe we're going to have a call coming in. Yes, we do. And so let's try to take in this call at this time. Good afternoon and welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, caller. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Shouldn't drivers be more careful of children crossing the road, especially on pedestrian crossing?
Well, certainly drivers should always be wary of and careful of pedestrian crossings and approaching them where they exist, certainly. And even more so if you are aware that there may be a school nearby. So that certainly is another degree of care that one should have, considering that. Yes.
There is also that. Yesterday there was a very, very sad story. There is a mom. A young mom. She had surgery because she has a brain tumor. But last month, her 9-year-old daughter was crossing the road on the pedestrian crossing and was hit by a vehicle. And the child right now is bedridden.
Oh my!
Because she's not able to walk because her legs are actually broken. She has to be using pampers for the child and everything. So, and the child is very, very depressed to the point that sometimes they ask her to take the child to the mental wellness center because she keeps on screaming and all sorts of things. And I'm saying, at the end of the day, they had the free, then there it was the last one, and this little boy that was in the back. I do find sometimes the carelessness of drivers on the road sometimes not looking out, especially pedestrians. Because we know sometimes they may be a little troublesome, they may just be running across the road. We should be a lot more careful because listening to a story like that, it is sad. Although he took responsibility, as the mom said, he took responsibility and said it was his fault. And he has been doing his part up to the point right now. The little girl don't want to see him, but she has not heard from him after she told him the little girl doesn't want to see him. But I think too much of that is taking place, especially sometimes during school hours. During school hours, you know the time. Be a lot more careful of it because there are children all over the place. But it was a very sad story listening to this. And on top of that, the woman just had surgery because of a tumor on her brain. And she has to go through taking care of a child that is right now bedridden.
That is definitely very concerning. And the whole issue of care for human life, for our children, is yes, I think we can certainly be very, very sympathetic or empathetic towards that. And I think, yes, as a society, it's something that we need to have a conversation about, about the quality of life that we afford our children. And sometimes we don't look at some of these issues that you're saying, the safety of schools, right? Getting to and from school, that's a major one. And that can be very dangerous in very many ways. I mean, you're pointing out the pedestrian crossing, but even more broadly, how the children get to school, the safety on the road, the protection from other individuals out there. It's a lot of things that we do need to tighten up on and sharpen up on. I know schools have had to take some measures in terms of keeping parents at outside the fence of schools and on the sidewalks, and not allowing vehicles in at before a certain time and whatnot. And to some degree, it's I know it can be somewhat frustrating for some parents because you're waiting for your children and you're outside on the sidewalk, and quite often there's no shade, there's no real place to um so it can be very, very difficult on the parents themselves, even when we're putting these measures in place. But yeah, I think looking at the whole issue of school security, I think is a very, very critical one. And of course, the whole experience of school, getting to school, and health and safety across the board. I mean, we also had that situation recently of the unfortunate loss of the life of the boy who got hit by the cricket ball, and a lot of these things, could they be prevented? Should we be thinking about, it's really, really important. And I do know that there are a lot of schools who are taking it very, very seriously, and they're very careful about access and whatnot. But we also have to, um, as you rightfully are saying, look even beyond the school yard itself and the school premises, but even the areas around the school. Are our school zones properly marked, for drivers, for people coming into areas? I mean, even noise, for instance, is another issue. People come sometimes, you just hearing these very loud. Should we not have quiet zones in certain areas around schools and around churches? So
Oh well,
the,
there after the church, like there is every Saturday night, like almost every Saturday about the same time, this bike would just pass and
mm,
right and just have to stop maybe for a couple of minutes just to give him time. But have not had him for a couple of days, but I was told he was the one in the accident with the children.
mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and then the noise issue, of course, has been a pretty topical one in places like Rodney Bay, where people are dealing with the issue of, bars and places that are playing loud music, and how do you try to find that balance, But it's beyond that, because we're seeing it on our roads with some, very insensitive driving, but also people putting loud, sound systems on the roofs of vehicles, and being very brazen to be driving them out, as they so choose. And so I think there is really a need, especially in terms of I mean, our traffic laws, maintaining and upholding our traffic laws is becoming more and more critical, by the day. There are more people on the roads, and we're seeing the impacts. We're seeing the impacts on quality of life in so many different ways.
Yeah, I
I
heard what his name is Mr. Terrell Compton was saying at least if maybe one officer would just park his bike. Park his bike somewhere along the roadside coming down from the Julian Hunt Highway
Right.
down. Maybe have them just park there. Just
Yeah,
stand there, sit, relax. And he said you would see a great difference on the road.
I think so too, caller. I think the time has come where you need a dedicated highway patrol. I mean, it's sad to say, caller, but we seem to see the police out on bikes more when it comes to the convoys, of trying to get maybe a sports team through traffic, or maybe some official through traffic or something of the sort. But in terms of that aspect of policing the roads, that is something that's really important. I know it happens sometimes where maybe once in a while you might see a road stop, and there might be some good reasons to be out there trying to apprehend certain elements. They've got tip-offs, whatever the case may be. That's great. But I think that regular, consistent presence on our highways, in particular, that as you mentioned, that Castries Groves Delay corridor is really, really, really important. So
And if they have some just there specifically for that, that is your job. You put up them, then that is your. If you rotate them, you have them change it, but shouldn't they have some just specifically for that? You don't.
And I think I did hear a bit of Mr. Compton's statement, and even in terms of some of the legislation that it has yet to be passed by Parliament. And of course, it's one thing to have the legislation passed. Maybe there's a knowledge that we're not going to implement or enforce. So that's why we haven't passed it yet. But it's needed. It's needed, definitely. The issues of drunk driving, for instance, is another major one.
I know of one biker at when I think his dad was a Chinese, his chum, and this guy he had the helmet, he had the gloves, he had this thing under his elbow, and the ones on his knee.
Mm-hmm.
He had all of these things. He just never drove his bike without all of these things. But
Mm-hmm.
you find many of our bikers are doing that.
Yeah, and I mean the popping of the wheelies that we've been completely irresponsible. Should not be happening on public roads. Should not be happening on public roads. We're somewhat fortunate to actually have some places where you could, if you want to be doing some stunts, you could probably do that. And even then, it could be obviously you putting your life at risk. But then, that is really
maybe they can get some place for them just specific
yeah,
for that.
yeah.
When they feel like doing it, just go to that spot.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, auto sports is a big deal. I mean, that pulls a lot of interest, and but it means that we need to, like Barbados, if you need to have a bushy park, you need to create the space for it, the dedicated space for it. That is the way to go, definitely.
We don't have. We need all of these things, And I'm keep on asking, when will we get a park, a theme park? Are you quite so that children can go on the right?
Right,
During the summer,
right.
where do you take children except the beach?
Mm-hmm.
They have summer school. But if they had it once during square time, when they had it at the SAB, before then they went to Pigeon Point, they went to, why can't you still have it again? So people have avenue when school closed to take the children.
Yeah, I think that one of the big ones is the cost of maintenance, and given the smallness of our market. But I think sometimes it could be very tastefully done, and it could also be a tourist attraction. It could certainly it could certainly be a tourist attraction, if it is done well, to create opportunities. Yeah, but um, yeah, maybe it'll happen, caller, at some point. Let's hope at some point it's we can be able to enjoy those types of. But children today, caller, you have to be so careful. Sometimes they might go once and they'll say, "Oh, why are you bringing me back here again?" I said they get bored very quickly of things that might be repetitive. So I don't know. I mean, it's something that has to be looked at very carefully in terms of the cost benefit.
I went to the Six Flags in New Jersey, and I tell you this, like after that, they're so vast.
Yeah, but then of course we're dealing with vast populations too, so that's the challenge that we don't have.
Families. I think we need something like that in Senegal.
Let's see if we can get a small one sometime. Thanks for that, caller. Have a good one. And unfortunately, we're actually also already over time on the program. Hopefully, tomorrow I want to talk a little bit about public services, and just today, for instance, we heard in the Parliament the government was speaking on the expansion of citizenship by descent. and of course allowing for people whose parents may not have even been born in St. Lucia, but their grandparents were St. Lucian, so that they could claim citizenship by descent through their grandparents. And we made mention of that sometime last week when that bill came up, I think, for first reading. Parliament is happening again, and it's the second reading debate on it is happening today. But and that's one thing, and that's great. It's a great step in that right direction. But then the challenge is the process to be able to actually apply and get some of these citizenship by descent. It's not that straightforward, and that challenge of getting our different agencies to actually work together in such a small country like ours, it appears to be sometimes a Herculean challenge. It need not be, but definitely I think I want to touch on that tomorrow for our program here at the lunchroom. But we do hope that you have a good one. Enjoy the match tonight, and of course, whatever else you are up to for the rest of the day. Have yourself a very productive week, and God willing, we'll be back again tomorrow for another program.